ahead and start the meeting. Would everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you.
Commissioner Watt?
Present.
Commissioner Bigelow?
Present.
Commissioner King?
Here.
Vice Mayor Commissioner Janet Wilson? Present. Mayor Commissioner Landon?
Here. Okay, so we're going to do the presentations, the report of the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sergeant Pion, Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. For the month of May, our crime stats, we had 4 assaults and 5 larcenies. With those larcenies, the majority of them were very minor, toy shoplifting and all this. We had a total of 4 people arrested in 80 Rocks for that month. About half of them were domestic related. One of them was a situation where we just randomly came across someone who had a warrant, and they also had some narcotics on that person, and the other 2 were for DUIs. There's a total of 959 events in the city, resulting in approximately 1,200 units responding. The overwhelming majority were proactive activities done by deputies. We had 270 directed patrols in the area. There were 176 abandoned or illegally parked vehicles that we investigated, and 155 traffic stops. The rest of the calls for service are listed there. The highest next one was 911 hangups and general assist citizens. There were only 2 crashes, both minor in nature. One of them, I believe, was a vehicle versus a scooter, which was the most significant one. There wasn't any trauma or anything like that. There were 260 citations issued in total. That's actually, so I looked at the stats from last month. I know you guys have new parking system that you put in place. Last month, I believe you had 84 parking citations. This month was 106. So that's almost 20-25% increase in parking citations, which can probably be attributed to all of the new areas that are now being zoned for parking enforcement. Out of the 260 citations, 142 were warnings. Like I said, 106 were for parking, and then there were several for boating and regular traffic citations. The majority of them were along Wolf Boulevard. And that is the conclusion of my presentation. Do you have any questions?
Does the commission have any questions?
I just did have a quick follow-up question on the parking citations. So how does that work after hours when the code enforcement is closed? Do you all?
So deputies have access to the system as well. It's a website where they can go to an area where they kind of have like little sectors and districts throughout the city. They kind of put in the corresponding number for that little area, and we'll tell them all the tags and vehicles that have paid parking in that area, and they kind of cross-reference it with whatever they see, and then that allows them to issue citations.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add that the miners on golf carts on Harbor Drive really bad this week. Started yesterday, today.
Is that mainly during the daytime or evening?
Yeah, in the daytime. It wasn't bad last week, but for some reason this week it's like Disney ride back and forth all day. So just wanted to bring it to your attention. So there's a big field somebody could park in if they needed to. But anyway,
I will make a note of it and pass along to our day shift partners.
okay, great, thanks.
Thank you.
And you can feel free to park in my driveway if you'd like.
I appreciate it.
One other follow-up question, Ryan, did we ever get any information on deciphering?
Yes, Mayor, and I apologize because I know at this point sound like a broken record, but I did have an email yesterday from the captain who said that he asked for it again, he thinks it'll get approved. He apologized for the bureaucratic hang-up, but he did send me an email yesterday that he requested it again and thinks it'll get approved.
Thank
So
you.
we'll certainly let everybody know once that comes through.
Thank you for your time, and we appreciate your help and your enforcement.
Thank you.
And now we have the report for the Pinellas Suncoast Fire and Rescue District.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Wolfong. I'm the Division Chief of EMS. Chief Grimes sends his regards. He couldn't be here today. He's at a Florida Association of Special Districts meeting in Orlando, where we're hoping to get some good news tomorrow, and we'll come back to you guys if we do get that good news. It's great to be here. We've had a busy month last month, and I'm proud to share what your fire district's been up to. As you can see in the slide there, Fire Ops 101 was last month. We had one of our commissioners attend. It's a great experience. All the participants always love it. They get to put on the gear, feel how heavy it is, spray the hoses. And when it comes around next year, we'll let you all know. And we encourage participation. It's a great time from what I hear. On the next slide, see May was Mental Health Awareness Month. It's a cause we take seriously at Pinellas Suncoast. Our finance director, Erin Brooks, is also a certified yoga instructor. So she put on some classes for the crews at the stations, and not only can she balance the spreadsheets, balance the books, but she can balance the yoga poses as well. So notable incidents in May. We were the only fireboat to respond to the fire that broke on Egmont Key. We have a fire pump on that boat, and we're able to put that fire out. Otherwise, I'm not real sure what their plan was, other than to just let it burn until it put itself out. We also had a house fire on the mainland. While house fires have decreased over the decades, they're still part of our regular call volume, especially with the prevalence of lithium-ion batteries. Luckily, our crews responded to this house really quick and were able to contain it to just the garage so it did not spread to the rest of the house. As you can see, when the fires are difficult, there's something to be said for the camaraderie that comes from it. Our crews here, you can see that they came closer together after the fire when they do a hard job and have a great outcome. So our calls for May, there was 232, which continues an upward seasonal trend. This is expected. We go through this every year. Roughly 70% were EMS, 23 were fire, which is on par with historical norms. 52 calls were out of district. This is by design. The county system is built to ensure all agencies support each other to get the resources they need to get the work done. And the system works very well. We monitor that to ensure we're keeping our units in our district when appropriate, and you guys are all getting the service you deserve. The Indian Rocks chart shows that call volume over the past 8 months. You can really see the seasonal increase in this slide. This is from October of 25 through May 26. Next slide. Chief Grimes presented at the Hurricane Task Force meeting. He said there was strong engagement, thought it was a great meeting, and really beneficial to everyone who's there. Our call breakdown last month were pretty typical. We had mostly falls and sick people, as well as some few unconscious and fainting, and a couple of fire alarms. The water rescues have increased. The water's getting warmer, and people are enjoying the water more, so We've had quite a few of those. Luckily, they've turned out to be nothing much. No one's hurt, injured, so we're happy about that. And we will be here for the Hurricane Expo coming up in June. We're going to have a display, and we look forward to connecting with the community during that event. Professional development. In May, we've done 1,100 hours of training and over 6,000 years to date. And with the water warming up and increased marine rescue volume, we've done a lot more training in the water. So for our capital projects, Station 28, the construction has finally gone vertical. So after about 2 years in this process now, it's good to see the walls going up and it actually taking shape. Station 27, current station in Indian Rocks, we received that $1 million grant from the state. Our plans include converting the third floor to crew quarters with separate bunks, and the building will become ADA compliant by moving the offices to the ground floor. And we will also sprinkler and fire alarm systems will be installed because we should practice what we preach. Sprinklers are a huge benefit for fire safety. The Station 26, which is down in Indian Shores, we've been working on acquiring some land in the Tiki Garden site. The county has officially supported the use of the Tiki site, and I believe a lot of that was due to all the resolutions the cities have passed in support of that, so we're really happy with that. Our next step there is to do a stormwater feasibility study and then negotiate with the county. So that's been moving along very smoothly, and hopefully continues to do so. The Station 75 in North Indian Rocks, right up the road, work has been done using the cost-effective hybrid where we're self-contracting, and work has begun and it should be done here within the next couple of months. So we're really looking forward to moving some apparatus up here to provide better service to the areas in Bel Air and Harbor Drive. And fire prevention is busy as usual with 273 inspections. These include the short-term rental inspections and re-inspections. We've done the Hurricane Expos in Bel Air Beach and Indian Shores, May 11th. We brought a fire truck to the Spring Fling Block Party in Bel Air Beach. And we look forward to the IRB Expo in June. In closing, I had made this presentation. I would have not put myself at the last slide. Saw a turtle out on Walsingham and didn't want him to get smushed, so brought him off to the woods where he went back home. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Commission, any questions?
No.
I have one question for maybe the future. When we go through fire prevention, maybe the inspections were conducted, is there a way we can break it out by annual re-inspection and short-term rentals?
Absolutely. Yep.
All right.
We can get that for you for the next city meeting. That's all I have for our report.
Thank you for your report, and thank you for keeping us safe.
Sure.
Ryan, would you like to handle the next?
Thank you, Mayor. The next item on the agenda is recognition of Code Enforcement Officer Frank Pecoraro. I'm going to ask if Frank can come up to the front, and I'm actually going to ask if Chief Wilfong can come back up to the mic and present a commendation to Officer Pecoraro.
So, one of the fires I didn't mention because it was this month, I was going to save it for next month, was a fire that just happened last week here in Indian Rocks. And Mr. Frank Pecoraro is getting recognized for his outstanding citizenship, courage, dedication to safety and welfare of the community. On June 2nd, upon observing a residential fire, he immediately took action to assist occupants, helped ensure the safe evacuation of residents, and provide critical information to responding firefighters. The Pinellas Suncoast Fire Rescue District commends you for your courage and dedication to the safety of your community Your actions exemplify the highest ideals of public service and community stewardship.
Keep on the front. We're gonna get a picture with you and Frank, and if I can, just for the commission, you know, Frank, I'm gonna embarrass you. Frank was a former police officer, and you know, one of the things that I'm very proud of in this organization is we have many talented staff, and they come with years of varied experience. And I think for Frank, it was second nature. He heard a cry, he ran towards the cry, and he really, it was a life-saving measure of preventing a distressed neighbor from going back into a smoke-filled unit. I mean, he saved her life. I really believe that. So, you know, duty calls for Frank. He's used to first responding, and I joke that the next day he was in the office writing parking tickets and registering short-term rentals. So, but thank you, Frank, for all your.
Thank you, Frank. The next item on the agenda. The next item on the agenda is neighbor comments. 3-minute time limit per speaker. Any member of the audience may come forward, give their name, address, state any comment or concern they have regarding any matter over which the City Commission has control, excluding agenda items. All statements made to the City Commission shall be made to the City Commission as a whole and not directed to any individual City Commission member, personnel. Impertinent or slanderous remarks shall not be permitted. No speaker shall be interrupted, and no debate shall occur between the speaker and the City Commission. The floor is open. Anybody who would like to speak?
John Thayer, 1819 Bay Boulevard, IRB. I would like in the future to suggest that the commission give us an update on the parking experience, a monthly update, the space is getting used, problems, issues, anything about that, so we can keep up to date on that, please. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Good evening, my name is Brandon McDonald, and I live at 2205 Golf Boulevard, Unit B. So, good evening, everyone. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about an issue that is affecting the quality of our life in our neighborhood. It's the lack of management and accountability surrounding short-term rental properties, including Airbnbs and VRBOs. Our neighborhood was built as a residential community where families, retirees, and long-term residents could enjoy a safe, peaceful, and stable environment. Some might call it beach life. Unfortunately, some short-term rentals are operating without adequate oversight, creating ongoing concerns for people who live here year-round. We personally have experienced traffic problems, parking issues, excessive noise, late-night gatherings, overflowing trash. One time, it had caused a fly infestation in my home and my neighbor's home, which left us to take care of that on our own. And of course, there's a constant turnover of unfamiliar visitors. The issue is not tourism itself, nor is it responsible property owners. Many short-term rental operators are good neighbors and follow the rules. The problem arises when properties lack local management, rapid response to complaints, and meaningful accountability for violations. Most importantly, we deserve to preserve the residential character and sense of community that attracted us to this neighborhood in the first place. I encourage our elected officials to consider stronger management requirements for short-term rentals, including designated local contacts, clear enforcement procedures, and meaningful penalties for repeat violations. Responsible ownership should include responsibility to the surrounding community. This is not about preventing people from renting their homes, just want to be clear about that. It's about ensuring there's proper management for the renters. So, I would ask to work together, create reasonable solutions that protect the property rights while preserving the safety, peace, and character of our neighborhood. Me, and my partner, unfortunately, have neighbors that advertise Sleeps 54 to the right of us, Sleeps 34 to the left of us. So at full capacity, we could have 88 strangers walking around our easement, our driveway that we share. I think this seems excessive and frankly unsafe. I'm more than happy to share the list of issues we've experienced if needed. A city official once shared with me, we are zoned in my community commercial, and it's clearly residential. I'm not sure how this is possible, and I would hope someone can please explain what do we do to change that? Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Bob Copeland, 447 20th Avenue. I try to keep to 3 minutes, but I know this won't, and I believe there's people that are willing to give me their time under the rules up to 10 minutes if they would raise their hand.
I can just get somebody's name.
Tom McMullen, 481 Arbor Drive South.
Do you need other names?
I got it, I just needed one, I mean, you're.
Okay, that's fine.
All good?
Yep, thank you. My purpose tonight is to set forth facts regarding H&H Homes Not Hotels' numerous attempts to resolve the pending lawsuit against Indian Rocks Beach regarding improperly licensed people. And I believe I have more than one person, so I should probably get more than that 6 minutes if you wanted to ask them now or later. I saw Eddie B stand up. I saw Beth give the name. I just don't want to run into a
Sure, there should
an
be like.
administrative glitch.
Sure, absolutely. I think it's like a minimum of 10 minutes, though.
I think it's 10 minutes for a
Yes.
group. So I don't want
Okay.
to run into a glitch.
I'll
I'm
put
trying
down,
to
I know Eddie, so I'll put down Eddie.
follow the rules. So it says 7.
I'm gonna change it right now.
I think we have enough to do.
Yep, I wrote down Eddie.
You got
Mr.
Eddie?
McMullen, and Mr. McMullen, yeah.
Thank you very much. Just send me one.
There we go. Just
There we go.
right there, okay?
So again, I'm here because I was asked to come explain the facts regarding H&H Homes Not Hotels' numerous attempts to settle the lawsuit against the city regarding the improperly licensed short-term rentals. I'm not here tonight for a finger pointing. It's not a blame game statements. I am purposely avoiding saying the name or the title of anyone I would say is affiliated with Indian Rocks Beach, except for I will use the name of Mr. Walter Porter, litigation counsel, only because he's not part of our family. He's a visitor. Pardon the pun. And I have to give you a basis for these things. So my hope is that in making these comments tonight, the city will address the merits of the written settlement offer by scheduling a shade meeting and discussing and reviewing the merits of the written settlement agreement. And after the case is resolved, I hope then the city does an independent audit to figure out how this broke down. You know, who, why, what. But that's not tonight. Serves no purpose. So here are the facts that I understand. In 2025, H&H verbally offered to try and settle this case. I know that's a fact. We never got a response. This was towards the end of 2025. H&H made the decision that with the elections, they would just wait until after March elections to reinitiate their contacts or their interactions. So between March 2026 and May 15th, 2026, there were numerous conversations and emails from H&H, Homes Not Hotels, to Mr. Poor, stating, Homes Not Hotels wants to settle. What can we do to get this thing resolved? There were numerous oral and written statements sent to Homes Not Hotels that, and this is a quote, I'm not paraphrasing, IRB will not enter into a written settlement agreement. We don't like Part A, we maybe like Part B. We categorically refuse to consider a written settlement agreement. So, on May 6th, Homes Not Hotels just submitted a written settlement agreement. Even though we've been told multiple times, the city refuses to enter into any settlement agreement. So Homes Not Hotels continually followed up from May 6th through May 15th. We got no responses. On May 15th, there was a call that started at 4:30, then lasted a long time, up past 5. And at the start of that call, it was stated that the city of Indian Rocks Beach will not, it said the city has not responded. Halfway, approximately through that call at about 4:45, there was a statement, I got a written communication, city of Indian Rocks Beach will not enter into a written agreement to settle. So on June 5th, there's a court pleading filed in the Homes Not Hotels versus Indian Rocks Beach case, this particular case, signed by Mr. Poor, signed by Homes Not Hotels attorney. In paragraph 6, it states, the parties engaged in good faith efforts to resolve this matter outside of court, but were unsuccessful. Okay, I guess that means no, we won't talk about it even. And subsequent to June 5th, H&H has received other written communications confirming the written settlement proposal was rejected. Now, it's my understanding there's never been a shade meeting to discuss H&H. So I'm not sure that commissioners even know or knew until recently that there was a written settlement proposal tendered. But clearly you can understand why H&H believes settlement proposal's been rejected, and likely without your knowledge. If you were to review the written settlement agreement, documents have all kinds of words, definitions, Here's the meat of the deal. Indian Rocks Beach is just being asked to comply with Indian Rocks Beach short-term rental ordinance, to comply with the state statutes. There is nothing in there that says Indian Rocks Beach admits they did anything wrong. There is no request for reimbursement of attorney fees, which are fairly significant, though you might not have seen them. Homes Not Hotels to take this to trial. The whole case is based on the city's records. You may or may not be aware that Homes Not Hotels scanned approximately 20,000 pages of short-term rental code enforcement documents. And that's the evidence, your city documents. People look at things differently, but in my past, both as the boss of the company, as the attorney for my clients, I always said, here's your upside, here's your likelihood of success or not. And here's your upside, and here's your downside when you want to take this risk. So here's what I see the risk, the downside risk to Indian Rocks Beach. Not reaching settlement, and this thing goes to trial. As I said, the evidence is all based on your own records. It's not maybe yes, maybe no. I think that's teal, no, it's green, it's lime. None of that's subjective stuff. And it's typical in a judge enter final judgment, final order, that they have findings of fact as to why they found in their way. So it's quite likely that the judge, Home on Health tells, is going to prevail. You know, the law is all about merit. They want things to be flushed out on the merits. You know, people always talk about technicalities. The court really kind of dodges from that. They truly do everything they can after all my years of making sure that you see that, the merit. So anyway, in 2023, there was 263 licenses issued. There's 3 categories of violations. No fire inspection, no city life safety inspection, no DDPR license. At best, 1 out of the 263 passed or was properly issued. In 2024, there was 113 licenses issued. At best, 3. They got a little better in 2025 after the lawsuits. What you have here in summary is 518 short-term rental licenses that were issued in those 3 years, with 674 violations, various violations of the city ordinance or the state statute. We don't want this in a public record. You know, here's what people don't understand or have never been told. H&H is IRB. We're not some outsider. We're not some, you know, person trying to make extra money. H&H, the staff, the administration, most of the residents, they probably don't want the city, they don't want to have this finding in a judge's ruling that sits there to be spread wherever, used wherever, in perpetuity. So H&H and all the IRB citizens hope that this commissioner will formally review the May 6, 2026 written settlement proposal and come to a decision that is in Indian Rocks Beach best interest to enter into this settlement agreement. And thank you very much. Sorry that I used up most of the time. I just tried to be very detailed.
Thank you, Bob. Is there anybody else that would like to come up during public comment?
Jerry Newton, 438 Harbor Drive North. Since I didn't give my time away, I'll just use a minute or two. You know, we're all just here, I can't say all, but some of us are just hearing this, and it's very confusing to us why nobody likes legal situations. Back in the inception of this lawsuit against the city, the rules were not being followed, the rules were not being enforced by people that are not responsible here. And the way to get that attention was to make it into a legal situation, because nobody was listening otherwise. And there's plenty of people in this audience and other places that will profess to the fact that we begged and pleaded and provided evidence for years without solutions. So the legal situation got a little more attention than that, and things changed. The deck was shuffled, people changed, situations changed, and what a miracle we started enforcing our regulations. So why can't we just say that was productive use of time and money? Let's end it right here because things are going forward. Why continue throwing bad money or good money after bad, or whatever you want to say it? If I understood what Bob just said, he's not asking for anything other than to say, from now on, we'll enforce the regulations that are law. You don't have a choice. You can't say we will or we won't. It's just saying the rules on the books will be enforced from now on. And that's all this legal slip's asking for. If you can explain to me why that's not a good settlement, not even asking for attorney fees, are you kidding me? There needs to be an explanation of why that's not right for everybody.
Thank you, Jerry. Anybody else in the audience would like to take advantage of public comment?
Beth McMullen, 41 Harbor Drive South. I wasn't going to speak, but I have to. I know that we're moving forward and that we are enforcing the ordinance. I think a lot of us have PTSD based on what has happened in the past, and you all may not be here in the future. So I think it's really important that this gets put on paper. I really do. I think we need to have it written down for our future, for whatever lies ahead for us, that this has been put on paper and that we are going to follow the rules from here on out, so that no one can deny that from here on out. That's just what I'm saying.
Thank you, Beth. Anybody else have a comment? At this time, I'm going to close the floor for public comment. And we're going to go to the reports of the city manager, Ryan.
Thank you, Mayor and Commission. So I actually wanted to take the time during my report to update the Commission and the community on our parking program that we initiated roughly 22 days ago. I think that all of us here in City Hall can agree with we're thrilled with how the program has started here in the city. We are finding that people are paying for parking. We're finding that if they don't pay, then our code officers find them, and the sheriff's office find them. So I actually want to take an opportunity to recognize the sheriff's office. They have been more than amenable in getting on board with our Park Mobile application, our applications where we can track, see what spaces aren't paying and issue the tickets appropriately. And so I just want to take the time to recognize the shift here tonight, and all shifts, all 4 shifts that have done a great job of working with our staff and helping us enforce our parking program. And just want to also take the time to recognize our staff too. Everybody that's played a role in this. You know, it was a conversation that started many years ago, right? And then we had a first reading in December, second reading in January, and then we used the next month to really set this thing up. And you know, certainly it hasn't been without certain hiccups. I can talk a little bit about that, but for the most part, you know, people are still coming to Indian Rock Beach. You know, I think that there's this concern that, you know, with paying parking on the beach, that wouldn't be the case. But as I've said, you know, I drive in the morning, and the businesses that were busy in the morning are still busy. Businesses that were busy in the evening prior to starting paid parking, they're busy. And our lots, our beach access points are full on weekends. The past 3 weekends, Memorial Day weekend certainly included, but even this past weekend, we found that generally all the spots were filled. And we were able to track that. We've got good data. We're still compiling data. I'll tell you, for instance, that a general parking transaction is on average 2 hours and 22 minutes. So what that tells us is that people are circulating out too. And rather than somebody parking there for all day, as may have been in the past, we're seeing more people occupy the space. And I would, encourage, businesses to study parking management and how that helps businesses by having people rotating in out of those spots. And so, I think 22 days in, we frame this as a 6-month pilot program. And I want to reemphasize too, for anybody, that will go back and watch this, certainly anybody here, when we talked about the pilot program, we focused on the beach access. That was the pilot. And then in 6 months, we were going to look at parking management throughout the city and whether or not we needed to expand to certain areas. But it was always the intent to start with beach access points. And that would guide us and give us good information on what does enforcement look like? What do parking habits look like? How are the businesses responding? And 22 days in, it's a small time frame, but we're really happy to see how the program is working and that people are complying and that people are still able to enjoy our beach, right? Something that we're so proud of. But that's not to say there are certain things that we've kind of picked up on throughout this process, and I do think that without getting into all the specifics, I've had the opportunity to talk to a number of you. I do think it elicits some of the things that we've discovered, future conversations on parking management. We'll kind of generally frame how we do parking management and what that looks like, not just at our beach access, but throughout the city. As you were aware that a couple weeks ago, we internally tried to address one of the things that is something that we're going to continually have to look at, talk in a dedicated agenda item on, but the use of golf carts, unplated golf carts in the city, and how do we address that? How do we rectify that when it comes to our paid areas? And so, that's something that we've learned. We knew that going into this. We even prior to paid parking, we had instances of unplated golf carts in resident-only spots, trying to kind of square that, kind of figure that out. But certainly with paid parking, that's highlighted that. So we're going to continue to kind of just investigate, research, and then really have a conversation with all of you in the coming months. But I think that again. And Mr. Gomez is going to cover a budget presentation and talk about what's going on in the state legislature, but I don't want us to miss the point, and certainly, a worthy pat on the back for this organization, this commission, that we've established a dedicated revenue source. And especially as we're going to be having to have tough conversations when it comes to budgeting, due to pending legislation and certainly a vote of the state, that's critical. That's critical to come up with. And so I think it couldn't have come at a better time. And we'll continue to assess it. We'll continue to look at parking management throughout the city. But I just wanted to update the commission on that 22 days in, I feel like it's going pretty well. So thank you.
Anything else? No?
No.
Okay. At this particular point in time, I'm going to ask for the report from our city attorney, Matt.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll give a brief update on litigation that's pending. The Modco of Kentucky case, which we were successful in federal court. We were granted an award of attorney's fees. We got a hearing on that. That hearing granted us entitlement. So attorney fee hearings are generally done in 2 phases, entitlement and then the amount. So we have a hearing in August to determine the amount of fees. So we'll have to bring a witness, another licensed attorney that practices in the area to testify that our fees are reasonable. And present the court with evidence of what our fees were specific to that case. And at that hearing, the judge will determine the amount of the fees and costs that will be ordered to be paid by Modco of Kentucky. We also have quite a few appeals. I'll say it's like 19 appeals of our magistrate orders. Most were appealed before I started, some after, but since we got on board, we ended up filing the reply briefs to all of those. We're still waiting for the circuit court, a panel of judges that does appeals to issue written decisions on those, so they're just still pending. It's not really a timeline. There's quite a few cases. I assume they've grouped them together. But I will update you as soon as I hear more on that. And then we have there's actually two Homestead Hotels cases. So there's a sunshine violation case, which there was a hearing on recently on that, and we're waiting on a decision from the court. And then the mandamus case, which is, I believe, Mr. Copeland's referring to, for the wanting some kind of court oversight over our enforcement. I've sent you all a memo this week outlining some of the facts of that. Because it's still in litigation, I think leaving that in a work product form memo is probably appropriate, but I would ask that that we schedule a shade meeting to talk about the cases in a little more detail sometime in the next couple of weeks. I think typically the city clerk will coordinate with you all and with me on a time, and will then publish that to the public when we'll have that.
Can you take care of that for us, Lauren?
Of course.
Thank you.
So I don't necessarily need the date and time right now, but I would like to schedule a shade meeting so we can talk through that case in detail. So the the AP6 case was settled, but then there were the 7 other federal cases that all remained. IRB Connect was voluntarily dismissed some time ago before my involvement with the city, but the other ones are all administratively closed and will remain in that state for the time being. I also wanted to give just a brief legislative update. I know Robin's going to talk about this, but as you know, there was a joint resolution passed by the House and Senate regarding property tax, ad valorem tax exemptions. A breakdown of what that is, it'll go to referendum in November, so it'll be on the ballot for consideration, since it's a constitutional amendment to the state constitution. If passed, there'll be a $150,000 homestead exemption for starting January of 27 for that calendar year, and a $250,000 exemption, so it's being increased quite a bit. The exemption does not apply to taxes levied for the purposes of schools, so that's roughly 45% of the tax bill will remain unchanged for residents. There will be a $50,000 exemption cap for new residents. Their exemption will not be the 150 or 250 in 2028. It'll be 50,000 and will remain that way for the first 5 years of their ownership. There were some restrictions put in place on what ad valorem taxes could be used for. Right now, the language in the Constitution states that it's for essentially all municipal purposes. Is very broad. The amendment would restrict them to a list of categories. My interpretation of it at this time is it doesn't really change anything. And we may find that not to be the case if there's some litigation over it, but there's kind of a catch-all. There's public safety, infrastructure, roads, but there's operations and administration of the city is one of the categories. I can't really think of anything that the city does that doesn't fall into one of the categories. So to me, I don't think it's going to change much as far as what the revenue from taxes can be used for, unless the city, some local government is doing something outside the bounds of general city business that may restrict those. But for us, I don't see any direct impact on how we're gonna be able to use the funds. And then for commercial properties, right now, there's a 10% cap on how much a property can increase annually in assessment. This amendment reduces that to a 5% cap. So the commercial property assessments will have a limit on how much they can increase in value each year if it's passed. So it's kind of a 50,000 foot view of what the amendment is. It's quite long and complex, but that's the key takeaways. Robin's going to talk about the budget and how it impacts us if passed in November. And then as I go through and see exactly what's been signed and going to be signed from this session, I'll bring a full legislative update on impacts to the local government at a later date. But the tax, homestead tax exemption increase is a pretty big one, and wanted to get that before you tonight. So just so you're aware of it and understand exactly what it means. And I have a memo that I'll circulate to you all on that as well, that can be public.
Thank you. Now, even though this is passed as law, I understand that it still has to be voted in.
Yeah, it'll go on the ballot, and I believe it has to have a 60% or more favorable vote from the general public at the general election in November.
And we can voice our opinion until it becomes a resolution.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
And my opinion is it's a tax shift. The state shifting it back to the municipalities. Anything else, Matt?
Nothing else from me.
Can I ask a quick question? You mentioned the 5% cap. Is that applicable to both non-homesteaded properties as well as commercial, or just commercial?
Yeah, my read of it was commercial,
It's actually all non-homesteaded.
non-homesteaded.
Okay, thanks.
I apologize.
Does anybody else in the commission have a question?
No.
No, but there was an excellent article entitled, It Isn't About the Money, It's About the Control, that I'll send some links out, but it was a fantastic article, and I think dissected what the true want was, and it was control. And the other thing I think that's important to think about is sometimes we'll see these bills that come out, and then they'll realize, oh wow, this really wasn't great, we'll try to go back and correct it. Amendments aren't easy to correct, and so it's a much more permanent option that we really need to make sure people understand.
Yeah, Robin's correct. I misread my note. It's all non-residential homestead, but also all non-agricultural rural property will also have the 5% cap, so that's the commercial as well, so it's both.
I don't know if it's worth noting, but if anybody was following the lead up to the actual final vote on what the property tax exemption would look like, there was initially a trust fund that was supposed to be established. However, there was no dollars that were going to be attributed to that trust fund. So the intent of that was to help support communities that did not have enough revenue to support their basic services or needed help. But now they were successful in removing the trust fund because it wasn't funded. But there's still that question of what happens with communities, whether it's counties or municipalities that just don't have enough revenue to pay for even the basic services. So I think that's where Jan's comment about the control is. Thanks, just wanted to share that.
Thank you. Now we're going to move to the reports from the City Commission.
And then I'm going to just interrupt for one quick second.
Yes, ma'am.
The reporter here would like to bring her microphone up here so she can capture all your comments a little bit clearer. Is that correct?
Okay.
Why don't you come up there now? We'll move on to Commissioner Lott's comments.
Just for me, or we pass it around?
Just for you.
No, I didn't know it could reach that far.
If you don't mind passing, sure. No, it's
Now, at this time, we're going to go to the city. Commissioner Watt.
Okay, I just have a couple of brief comments. Okay, so one, in case anybody hasn't heard, there is some good news. The Army Corps of Engineers and Pinellas County has reached an agreement so that for beach renourishment projects, the easements no longer need to be permanent easements. They're going back to the old method of temporary easements for beach renourishment. So it doesn't fix everything, but that is a huge step in the right direction. So that is good news in general and good news for our community. I attended the Florida League of Cities webinar this week, and they talked about hurricane preparedness. And there's one thing of note that I thought was interested in. They talked about a training program, FTEM, which is a training program for non-emergency training personnel. So it's basically for people like in city government, that would be like the finance manager, elected officials. And so they just had this year's training a couple of days ago, so we missed it for this year. I don't know if anybody from our city has ever attended that kind of training, or if you're nodding like you've done that, Robin. Okay. So I just wanted to bring that up. Maybe that's something we want to think about for next year if we think it has value and merit. It sounded pretty interesting, and it was specifically for novices, basically, in that space. So I thought that was interesting. That's all I have for today. Thank you.
Commissioner Bigley.
I just wanted to say that we're working on the golf cart issues and stuff, which we still have issues with. We have a second reading tonight, which is going to make it stronger than it has been before. So we have been working hard with that. I have a question for Robin. I might be getting ahead of myself here. As far as the parking revenue and the budget goes, when are we going to start to see that on there?
We'll post it at the next, when I give you the next update, probably for the quarterly update, but I think Ryan was gonna chime in.
Yeah, so Mayor and Commission, I talked a little bit about really having that conversation about the revenue when we got to the end of the pilot program. But when we start talking about the budget, planning for the budget, we're going to have to account for that revenue next year. So that's when we'll kind of project what we're thinking to budget for next year based off where the numbers we've received so far.
Because I've had a lot of questions about it, so, okay, good. That's all I got to add. Thank you.
Commissioner
King, thank you,
King.
Mayor Bond. I just wanted to follow up to Kelly's comments about the beach renourishment. Yeah, I really think that is a good thing. It's a good victory. There's two things that remain, I think, questions for our city, and that's those people who did last year sign the perpetual easements. Will they be rescinded? I think that's something that we need to follow up on for our residents that did that. And then the next one would be that our beach was declared customary use. So therefore, it's basically a public beach. And one of the other determinations, I think that's in that agreement with the county, is that they would not need easements for those areas that were designated basically as a public beach. And we were designated that in 2018, so I think that begs the question of whether the county should be asking for a portion of the money that they spent for Indian Rocks Beach back from the Army Corps of Engineers. So I think, I don't know how we can push that. That's really a county thing, but I think we should raise that to the county. And if I could just have another minute, I wanted to talk about a shameless plug for the Hurricane Task Force. It's an amazing group of people, part of our community here that are so thoughtful and have brought forth a list of lessons learned that we had collectively and individually from the last two hurricanes. We settled on that and finalized it last week, as well as some recommendations on what we can do moving forward to mitigate some of those things that were perhaps less than ideal, and as well as anticipating future events. We also did certainly agree to support a Hurricane Expo, which you've all seen. I hope that we're having that soon in June. And then we had a really amazing and valuable presentation from Chief Grimes, and based on his own experiences and some catastrophic hurricanes, Katrina, Andrew, others, where he has been involved, not necessarily from a fire perspective, but perhaps providing services for medevac and things like that. The message is water always wins, evacuate early. And then the next meeting is tomorrow, so I really encourage any of you who are available. It starts at 6 o'clock. We try to keep it to before 9, and it's like we were successful last time, so the week before 9. But we will decide on the top 5 priorities from our lessons learned that we want to address going forward, and then we'll follow up with make the recommendations and who is actually going to be the owners for those changes that we might make or new things we want to add to our hurricane preparedness, planning, and post-hurricane recovery. But we'll also have a presentation from Kathy Perkins, who is our Pinellas County Emergency Management Department. So she's the manager or the director of that department. And I think you would find it really valuable information. So please come if you can. Thank you.
Commissioner Wilson.
I want to start by just saying a big thank you to Commissioner King for being the chairperson for our Hurricane Task Force and doing such an awesome job. I can't wait till tomorrow's meeting. Mix and mingle. May 21st at Hurricane Eddie's, great turnout, and checks were given to Beach Arts Center for art camp scholarships and vacation donations to support getting the word out that we have that awesome program. I will be attending Suncoast League of Cities June meeting this Friday in Oldsmar. I'll be excited to hear some legislative updates from them on what was happening behind the scenes. Florida League of Cities had some ideas that they were tossing around as to address it, so I'll be anxious to hear that. Suncoast League of Cities President Andy Reid wrote an excellent letter to all legislators on behalf of all of the Suncoast League of Cities prior to the special session, so we were represented in that. And Ann Tony Deal, City Manager of Seminole, was one of the persons to testify on behalf of Suncoast League of Cities during the special sessions hearing. So again, Suncoast League of Cities is out there, has our back. While we're not going to be able to directly vote on these candidates, I would encourage you, and especially if you have relatives, friends, anybody who lives in areas that they can, on who declares candidacy, because Ed Hooper is giving up his Senate seat early, and Lindsay Cross has decided not to go for re-election of her House seat. These are both neighboring districts to us, and both of these individuals have been very supportive of things that are near and dear to our hearts. So I want everyone to pay close attention to who are the candidates. And this Saturday, I will be attending the John Maroney Legacy Foundation's annual Law Enforcement First Responders Appreciation Dinner as a guest of Representative Kim Burfield. One of the things that you learn early on is when you go up to Tallahassee, those are very specific conversations in a very high pressure time. It's these conversations and these things that you can do with our representatives back in our home districts that set that tone so that those quick conversations are more meaningful.
First of all, I just want to simply let you guys know it's a pleasure to serve. I am honored to serve with Hillary King. I'm honored to serve with Janet Wilson. Each one of them have an important role. The Hurricane Task Force, unbelievable, unbelievable. Our voice in the Florida League of Cities, Janet, she knows what's going on. Our other commissioners are just on feet on the ground every single day, every single time I show up at a community event. I run into these people. That's where we need to be. I had the privilege of going to the mayor's conference in Pinellas County. One of the biggest tasks that they said, or the biggest problems, is that we need to listen to our community. Our commissioners are listening, and we hear you. I'm listening, we hear you. With that, I do want to talk about the beach renourishment. Ryan and I were actually there. It was a tremendous outpour. We've asked for a copy of the signed documents so we can actually go through and understand if we need to put an ordinance in to prevent any of the perpetual easements or any of the required signatures to make it more fluid, if you will. We have the Beach Arts Center. The mayor has actually contacted the leadership of the Beach Arts Center in building community, and it is our hope that we will be putting the Beach Arts Center artwork on our walls here to help build community. The Beach Arts Center actually has an event, and if I can get my calendar, it's this Thursday. They're going to be doing from 5 to 7 an open art reception for the DePaul Centers, and please correct me if I'm incorrect, for the DePaul School for Dyslexia. We have a lot of talented children and talented people there. Kira, we had to say goodbye to Slice Pizza. We have a new business in Indian Rocks Beach. It's Kira Pizza. My daughter and I went there. We had dinner. It was fabulous. I would encourage y'all to go. We also have Coffee with the City every last Friday of every month. I think it's the 24th Friday of every month. Thank you, Michelle. She puts it on. We have started emphasizing different groups. This month, we are inviting businesses to come apart. We want to get to know our community. We want to learn about them and see what we can do to reach out and help them grow and move forward. At this particular point in time, I'm going to close, and we are going to move on to work session items. And that's going to leave us with you, Robin, the budget kickoff meeting.
Thank you, Mayor and Commission, and that's interesting. Technology's great until it's not great. So this is kind of Mayor and Commission and neighbors and city staff. This is our preliminary kind of kickoff really meeting. Talk about next year's budget. And please, at any time, Mayor and Commission, please feel free to ask any questions. Just going to go through a series of the slides as to where we are, what's happening. Really, this presentation is going to focus mainly on the general fund, give you an overview of the revenue and expense history, to include also what the city's millage rates have been, property valuations, property taxes. Mr. Maggart spoke about the legislation regarding the additional homestead exemptions regarding property taxes and what those really financial impacts are to the city, because there potentially are some financial and possibly operational impacts. And then lastly, to cover really budget, kind of what comes next with the budget, the estimates, their considerations, and then lastly, another group of wonderful volunteers. I probably need to get them dinner, because they're going to sit and listen to numbers and then more numbers and look at spreadsheets like this one that I think makes a lot of people go, well, it wouldn't be this, well, we'll figure it out. So this first slide just shows you just again for the general fund and for everyone's information, the general fund is the largest fund of the city. It's where all taxes, essentially all taxes, majority of fees are collected, and the money is spent on the general city operations, from the administration, which is the commission, the city manager, the operations of the city, from your finance to HR, information technology to the attorneys, to planning and development, the clerk, some of our leisure, library, parks, maintenance, and various recreational programs, special events, Some of your, again, maintaining the street, the beautification, and even maintaining some of our buildings. So the progression in going back to 2019, our revenue has increased, again, going from 19 to 26, about 55%. And again, the majority of that, other than just a few anomalies, for example, regarding some of the miscellaneous revenue that attributed to just certain revenues that may only happen once or twice, an insurance payment, a settlement, something like that. But the property taxes have increased, and the city has actually lowered the millage rate during this time period. And again, as I think you are all aware, and certainly our neighbors, residents, property owners may be aware, the property tax is pretty low at 1.73. We're among the lowest in Pinellas County. The general fund budget, the revenue budget is for the current year just over 5.7 million, and 3.5 million coming from property taxes. And expenditures along this same time period have increased 45%. So whether you look at it over a period of 7 years or a total of 8 budget years, so 7 or 8, you can see that the increases have been roughly 6 to 7% over this time period on the expense side for the general fund. This is a pretty long spreadsheet, goes all the way back to 1992, showing the history of, the first column is the year, the second column, from left to right, the second column, ad valorem millage, that's the tax rate that properties have paid. And again, starting over 2, little bit of a decrease in the mid-2000s when the economy was going well, then a bit of an increase after the real estate issues in the late 2000s, and then again, as properties have appreciated in value, you can see the millage rate again being reduced from 2 all the way to the current 1.73 over the last decade. Why has the millage rate decreased? Because the assessed values have increased. There is no secret regarding assessed values. Does the city control the assessed values? Some have told me yes, but ultimately it's the property appraiser. It's the market conditions. It's what somebody has been willing to pay for a piece of property. All of that data that the property appraiser, who has a team of professionals knowledgeable in real estate assessments, etc. But clearly, we're not the only city. Every other city here in Pinellas County and in many parts of the state of Florida, let alone the country, have seen values increase. And you can see 30 plus years ago, just over 286 million, and this past year, just over 2.1 billion. So it has been, and you can see the increase, the fourth column, or the increase from year to year. Conversely, then, obviously, or as a result of that rather, the taxes have increased, and again, that fifth column shows you that, what the increase is, and then the actual amount that we receive, because the city receives roughly about 97% of the property taxes that are collected. This just shows in graph form kind of what I explained. See the slow increase, a little bit of a decrease after the real estate collapse, and the continued increase. This just focuses on the previous, or the most recent 6 years, and that assessed value that I mentioned, you can see an increase of 59% over the 6-year time period. So roughly a 10% increase, again, over the previous 6 years. Of course, I think all of you are aware, from 25 to 26, there was a very minimal increase, and some of the cities out here in the Barrier Island experienced a decline in the valuations due to the storms and the subsequent damage that the storms cost. As I stated, what are property taxes used for? We are not significantly different than most other cities. We do contract out for quite a few services, but pretty much the property taxes fund our administration, our general operations, our public safety, and really our quality of life, if we were to group them in categories. This slide, and again, you've seen some of these slides in prior presentations, but part of the budget just shows the breakdown of the property tax, what the millage rates are for, or were for the current year, and of course, each one of these entities or taxing authorities, from the county to Pinellas Suncoast Fire, of course, the school board, SWIFMA, the Planning Council, JW, et cetera, will all be setting their millage rates just like the commission will later this summer. But you can see that, again, the city of Indian Rocks Beach is about 11%. Mr. Maggard said earlier, roughly about 45% of goes to the school board here, based on the millage chart. Excuse me, on the screen, it's almost 40%. This kind of breaks it out by just taking $1 and cutting it into cents: schools, the county, Indian Rocks Beach, and then the other smaller districts. So again, about 11 cents of every dollar in property taxes goes to fund the services that the city of Indian Rocks Beach provides. This slide just shows you how taxes are calculated. You take again every property is assessed every year as of January 1, and a taxable value is assigned. That's divided by 1,000 and then multiplied by the millage rate. So a property with a taxable value of $650,000 at the 1.73 millage rate would pay just a little bit over $1,100. So, and to put it in the smaller kind of numerical, for every $100,000 in assessed taxable value, an Indian Rocks Beach property pays $173. The next slide just kind of shows an actual property tax bill, and again showing the amount kind of in yellow as to what goes to the city of Indian Rocks Beach. Again, this is from a current year's bill. Again, if changes occur in November for the property tax legislation adopted, then this will look different. A little bit we discussed about homestead and non-homestead. It's positive. My positive comment is that although I think we're looking at trying to encourage and somehow see a little continued growth in homesteaded properties, the trend here has been a little bit in the opposite direction. The good part of that is that then the impacts of the exemptions on homesteaded is less, because we have a much larger percentage of non-homesteaded properties in our city. This chart just shows that for the 2025 assessed year, 29% of properties were homesteaded and 72% were non-homesteaded. So the legislation that Mr. Maggard, just to go kind of brief recap on that, if you may recall, the original bill, the House Joint Resolution back at the beginning of the legislative session, had essentially exempting all homesteaded properties except for schools. That impact calculated by the property appraiser would have seen a negative impact or a reduction in general fund revenue from property taxes by about 25% or $900,000. The revised amount, by simply increasing the homestead, if the homestead exemption increases to $150,000 and then to $250,000, so an increase of an additional $100,000 in 2027, and then an additional $200,000 or total for 2028. Then the impact to us, from property taxes, would be about $348,000. This was the initial calculation, again, provided by the property appraiser. This just kind of shows it in graph form over the next 4 years. From the first red, this in 2027, the one that says 0.24 million or 240,000, then 350,000 is in 2028, which would be if the homestead exemption increased to 250,000, and then a slight decline. Of course, this all depends as well. It's impacted by valuations. Whether property valuations increase or decrease will impact the amount of the impact from the exemptions. So again, the legislation that was adopted, as Mr. Maggard said, increases from 50,000 to 150,000 and then up to 250,000. There's an annual inflation adjustment beginning in 2029. Again, the school district, the millage rate to schools is excluded, so they will remain at the 50,000 exemption for those for homesteaded properties. It does reduce the annual assessment increase for non-homesteaded properties from 10% to 5%. And then, as Mr. Maggard stated, the property taxes can continue to fund city operations approved by commissions and councils unless there's any specific expenditure prohibited by law. And again, I think Mr. Mager said he'll provide a little bit more of what that exactly is. This was a slide showing what the impact would have been and the reduction in an actual property tax bill under the initial proposals back in March. Again, a 58% decrease for this homesteaded property. If the same property with the just recently approved legislation at 150,000 homestead exemption, this property again valued at, I think the valuation was just over, after the exemptions, just over 350,000, shows that their tax bill would be reduced by about 17%, a 250,000 homestead exemption by about 34%. So, as the mayor, as you stated, Mayor, it's a shift. Where will the money come from? Who's paying? How will it work? Will services need to be adjusted, meaning reduced and or eliminated? Certainly, larger cities are going to see some larger impacts. Cities and towns that have more homesteaded properties are going to see larger impacts. So, definitely something that is a concern for cities, a concern for property owners, residents, neighbors. However, I think clearly there are, because I've heard from quite a few, that they're fine paying less, as long as the services are not reduced. So if we can do that, then we're magicians. Now we're obviously stewards of the people's money, and we will continue to do that, ensuring that we're receiving the revenue that we're lawfully entitled to. If there were, this slide just shows, again, a little bit kind of just the last few years, not the longer years that I showed earlier, but again, the impact of property taxes. Property taxes in the current year make up 62% of the money that the city of Indian Rocks Beach spends for, again, your general services. Your public safety, well, police, contract with the sheriff's office, certainly the administration, as I stated, public works, general beautification, leisure, library, etc. Just showing it in pie chart that again, 62% of property taxes are the revenue that's received in the general fund. Here are where is the money spent, and this shows it by department. Again, 28% goes to law enforcement, 27% to public works. If changes are made and we are at some point, if we were to be restricted to some of what Mr. Maggard said, public safety, infrastructure, education, which we really don't provide, and those restrictions, then we can collect them $3 million or $4 or $5 million in property taxes, but we're limited as to where we can spend it. So again, if we were to continue providing the other city services, then we would have to figure out where that funding would come from. Now, some of the funding, there are a variety of different revenues from other taxes and fees, but clearly nothing similar, even close to property taxes. There are franchise fees, other licenses and permits, other taxes like the communications tax, half-cent sales tax. While they are a significant amount, they're still a very small percentage. I know some questions I received are, well, for example, the vacation rental registration and the related fines. Those are general fund revenues, and because they're not property taxes, then they can be spent on general fund expenditures. However, the idea is for those two revenue sources to cover the code enforcement and the vacation rental enforcement. So, fiscal 27 budget. So what are some of our kind of initial comments or considerations? That is really keeping the same millage rate. That is up to the commission. That is, I listed here recommend same millage rate simply because it's pretty rare that an administration would say, hey, let's raise the tax rate and every property owner should be paying more. Of course, cities occasionally do that, and that's due to significant economic conditions or other. So that's a discussion for the commission to have. We will obviously, again, I was focusing on the general fund, but we'll bring also at the next meeting what the proposed capital budget will be to include roads and streets work, our parks improvements to parks, and our fleet or the vehicles. As you are aware, as we put together the budget, we have to consider in addition to the services that we provide, the staffing and what that level of staffing is relative to, whether any salary considerations and benefits, and again, the number of positions. I did not include all of that detail this is really more to give an overview and a background, but we will certainly provide that. But keep in mind that low millage rate also, Indian Rocks Beach is a low fee city relative to other fees. And when I get to the Finance and Budget Review Committee, that'll be one of kind of their tasks that we're suggesting that they take a look at. There are certain fees and taxes that are not levied here in Indian Rocks Beach. And that is really the decision that prior administrations and commissions have made, and certainly something that can continue into the future. Our suggestion, recommendation is that the committee kind of take a look at, give us their thoughts, provide that to the commission as we compile the budget really over the next really over the next month. The other, as Commissioner Bigelow mentioned, the parking fund. So, and as the city manager mentioned, we need to determine what does that look like for next year. As Mr. Henderson stated, so far I will say it's going well. Where people are paying, we have not seen, and I've been out there as much as I can, even on the weekends, and it does not appear that people are staying away. Have some, yes, I've received fielded a few calls from folks that would come out here, walk, mainly, to get their exercise, and now they don't feel like paying $4.50. But I've had 3 of those calls, and one resident who did pay to park, but then told me that I don't know if I'll come back. Then I said, well, you do. The person stated, I'm going to go to another city. I said, well, just keep in mind that every other city also charges for parking more. And some charge more, so most of them charge more. So we will bring that back, and when the Budget and Finance Committee will take a look at all of that information, and then bring that back to the commission to the next budget meeting, which will be on July the 14th. And I put as number 5 the reserves. The city does have and forgive me, I don't remember if it's in the charter or the code, there is a provision that the city shall have a reserve fund, which IRB has had a reserve fund. Some of those reserves were used for the costs related to the hurricane, for repairs and getting everything back up and running. But I will bring a policy back to the commission. I did not find that the city has a set policy. Again, it is in the city's code, but kind of breaking out what the reserves really to be, and to get your input into what
earmark certain reserves.
So for example, what's kind of recommended would be that there's a set amount of money to respond to hurricanes, to storms, and those emergencies. And then you kind of split what your reserves might be. And that's listed in the budget, and kind of just off the top of my head, I think the reserves coming into this year were about 4.5 million. Don't quote me exactly, but they're about that amount. And so, the idea or the thought is to break that out and dedicate some specifically for hurricanes. Of course, that can be used, based on your direction, because that's a little bit more of a policy decision as to what to do. I will say that it's never a good idea to use reserves to pay for ongoing operations, but certainly for a one-time, cost, or certainly in the event of an emergency like the storms that occurred. So I did notify earlier today the Finance and Budget Review Committee that our first meeting will be Monday, this Monday, June the 15th at 6 p.m. right here. And I've already provided them a copy of this presentation, for example, but I'll be sending them other kind of documents. So they actually get homework before they get here. And that's why I said we have to provide them dinner, because it's going to be a good amount of work. Now they all finance budget numbers, individuals, so they're looking forward to it. Nobody said, no, I don't want to participate, you're crazy, this sounds terrible. So very excited and very honored to have them donate and volunteer the time, just as we have for all the other committees, including the Hurricane Task Force. So that's kind of the presentation that we have for now. And again, I think we're set to have the next meeting begin at 5 p.m., but we'll confirm that on Tuesday, July the 14th, right before the commission meeting.
Mayor, before I turn it over to you for questions for Robin, I do want to also mention, and I've mentioned this to a number of you, you know, you learn going through budgets and working with different cities is that, you know, the budget is, if you want to see what a city cares about, look at its budget, right? Where is it allocating its resources? What is it spending money on? To that point, we share our strategic plan, the commission strategic plan with the Finance and Budget Committee to kind of let, you know, the board know where is this commission going? You know, what is their vision for the city? And then to that point, I'm going to be spending time with all of you over the next really month talking about the decision package, right? Those operational items that I'm going to propose, that we're going to propose in this budget that meet those strategic initiatives, and kind of talk what those look like, kind of lining that up, whether it's FTEs, which are employees, or initiatives and contracts, but all gearing, you know, all pointing back towards that strategic plan. So, wanted to mention that.
Thank you, Ron. I'm going to open it up to the commission for questions for Robin.
Yeah, I think I just wanted a clarification for the parking fees, like, the ones that we're collecting for the beach access, are we directed in how we can spend that money? I don't believe it can go in the general fund, I'm not sure.
So so that's an interesting, ideally, or really the suggested, the recommendation is we're going to create a separate parking fund. So it's an enterprise, it's like a business. However, the business of parking generates, unless we're going to build a parking garage, which I haven't seen that there has been a plan to build a garage or any other type of big parking infrastructure. That would be your largest expense in your parking operation. Certainly maintaining the infrastructure, spaces, et cetera, it's a nominal maintenance cost year after year. There are no restrictions on how the money can be spent unless, again, we're going to build something large to which you would maybe issue debt to cover. Parking garages, for example, just to go back to that, are about $30,000 a space. So if you're building a 300 space parking garage, that's $9 million right there. Typically, you're not going to wait if you had a plan to build a garage in 2 or 3 years, just to give you an example. But there is no restriction. When I moved back to Florida in 2021, there were actually 2 cities where their parking revenue just went into the general fund. So it was a general fund operation, just like any other, essentially a fee. Based on what just happened at the legislature, that is also a possibility, that it could simply be general fund revenue. I know I've mentioned multiple times that the suggested guidance is that it become its own fund, so all the revenue just gets recorded in the parking fund, all expenses are charged to that, is really what my suggestion would be. The only reason you would leave it in the general fund is, again, if we had a significant decline. But what I said earlier about the other cities, I don't know why they did that. And I know that one city had a plan to build a parking garage and they wanted to issue debt. The rules on that are fairly specific, that you have to obligate money for a specific purpose out of a specific fund.
I think I just wanted to clarify that because there were some, it might be anecdotal information, that there was some agreement with the county that funds that we might generate from parking at the beach access specifically might have to be spent in a very specific way. It's just something we may want to revisit and make sure that we're not going to do anything inappropriate. Thanks.
So assuming that there's no restrictions on, from the county on how we can spend that parking fund, the suggestion right now is to keep it separate, and based on what the legislature is looking to do in terms of restrictions, wouldn't we want to not put that into the general fund, because there's going to possibly be more restrictions on that pot of money? And
I think we would keep it as a separate P&L, a separate P&L, just like we're doing with short-term rentals.
Yeah, I agree.
But I also feel like, you know, a portion of this and a portion of the short-term rentals needs to go to a reserve for infrastructure. such as streets, parking, and all that. But the beautiful thing about it is we get to decide.
I had another question.
Please, continue.
So I know you mentioned next meeting you'll be talking about the capital budget. And so I've heard said a few times that we have $13 million in stormwater management. Is that going to be addressed? I don't know exactly what that means, but is that going to be addressed at the next meeting?
Yeah, we will bring you kind of what the plan is. Most of those are obviously public works and stormwater projects. I think that's the list that Dean, our public works director, has compiled over the years. And so what we will bring you may not be a complete 13 million, but it'll be a 6-year capital program.
So, yeah, so the previous conversations that we've had internally is really about chipping away at that over time, and systematically planning out projects where we can create some resiliency in our stormwater operations.
So I'm looking at how the accounts have moved, and it looks like the public works, it looks like streets and drainage and building and maintenance and parks rolled into the public works budget. Is that what happened in 23?
Yes.
They kind of collapses in, okay. And then, so parks are part of public works. Are the beach accesses considered parks?
Yes, parks maintains the beach access point, so it's under the budget.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Bigelow.
I pretty much got my questions answered on the parking issue with Robin, talked about it earlier, so I'm satisfied.
I'm good.
You're good.
I'm good.
Okay.
I
Awesome.
understood, I got it.
I'm good too. At this particular point in time, we're going to move to the consent agenda. Approval of the May 12th, 2026 regular city commission meeting minutes. Lauren?
Well, there's nothing really to present to you about that, so just looking for you guys to.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda, which includes the minutes of the May meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we're moving on to number 6. That is the golf cart, low-speed vehicles, and micro-mobility devices ordinance. Second reading. Matt, can you help me with that?
Yes, Mayor, I'll take this. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2026-03, ordinance of the City of Indian Rocks Beach, Florida, amending section 62-40 of the Code of Ordinances relating to golf carts, low-speed vehicles, and micro-mobility devices, providing for compliance with Florida statute section 316.212, providing for severability, providing for repealer, codification, and an effective date. This is a public hearing, so I'd ask that you open a public hearing and then take.
Okay, we're going to open the floor for public hearing on our golf cart ordinance number 2026-03. We're opening it up for public comment. Would anybody like to speak? Going once? Okay. We're going to close the floor for public comment on the ordinance. Matt, are we going to simply, Commission, would you like to say anything or
I was just
make a
going to make a
motion?
motion to approve it.
Okay.
I would
Yeah.
like, unless
Do we have a second?
Second, the motion
Just to-
needs to be
Okay.
worded specifically.
So-
Read it. Okay.
Yeah, read it.
Yes, it needs to be read. Thank you. Word for word.
I mean, you could just state, make a motion to read that business item, so it's
I would like to make a motion that
6.1.
we approve business item 6.1, ordinance number 2026-03. Is that sufficient?
Yes, you don't need to read the whole thing.
And do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Would you like to call roll on this?
Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Bigelow?
Yes.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Vaughn?
Yes.
All right, we have a complete vote.
Okay.
I'll take the next item as well. at least started. This is a variance request for adjustment case 2026-02. This is a quasi judicial hearing. And so I'd ask that you open a public hearing for the quasi judicial hearing, and then anybody presenting testimony, we'd ask that they be sworn in, and then Ms. Hetty can present the facts.
Okay. Hetty, would you like to present the facts first, and then we open it up for public hearing?
We need to open
Open
for the quasi
Okay.
judicial part, swear everybody in, and have her provide the facts. A little different procedure for these.
All right, a little different procedure. We're going to open up the quasi judicial variance request, BOA case number 2026-02 for 2709 Bay Boulevard. Would you like to?
Is there anybody present that intends to testify about this matter? Do you mind coming up to the podium and raising your right hand? Anybody that will testify, I ask that you raise your right hand and repeat after me. Or do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth on the penalty of perjury?
I do. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hetty. You can take a seat.
BOA case number 2026-02 at 2709 Bay Boulevard. The variance request is from section 110-131, subsection 1, subsection G of the Code of Ordinances, of 1 foot 10 inches above the required 35-foot maximum building height, resulting in a building height of 36 feet 10 inches for a new residential dwelling located at 2709 Bay Boulevard, Indian Rocks Beach, Florida, and legally described as Lot 12, 12th edition to the revised map of Indian Beach, recorded in Plat Book 31, page 25 of the Public Records of Pinellas County. The property is located at 2709 Bay Boulevard, showing the location marked in red. This is a location showing the topo survey, the elevation. We measure the building height from the crown of the road to the midpoint of gable roof or top of a flat roof, and that would be 35 feet. And they're requesting another 1 foot 10 inches above that. Just a little bit more detail so you can see the crown of the road is 3.94. And these are, they originally got proposed for the building on the left, which is just under 35 feet in height. And then the elevation on the right is showing the 36 foot 10 inches to increase that building height to 1 foot 10 inches allowed over the 35 foot that is allowed. They have increased the garage height as well as the third floor height. Garage is up by a foot. The third floor was increased, I think, like 6 inches. There was still a little bit of play with the 1 foot 10 inches because people were going back and forth, so that's what we agreed on at the time. So, and with that, we had no correspondence was received for this variance hearing, and the Board of Adjustments approved it with a vote of 4-2-1. Do you have any questions?
Do we, I'm going to go ahead and let you know that this is my next door neighbor. He's a good guy, I like him. I don't know if I need to abstain, if I need to remove myself from that, but.
You don't need to abstain unless you have anything, some kind of financial interest in the property.
Okay. John, I don't have any financial interest.
So you do not.
Okay, thank you. But with that, All right, thank you for that. I'm going to open it up to the floor. John?
Sure. This is the first time I've done this. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to address you guys. I appreciate you taking time to consider this. My wife and I grew up in Clearwater. I went to Clearwater High School. My parents went to Clearwater High School. I've been working in Texas for the last 30 years. My wife and I come back here. Everything coming back here every summer. My kids are finally out of high school. 2022. My wife and I bought this great house, 2709 Bay Boulevard. The house was built in the 50s, ground floor house. We had the lien, and after that, we reached the difficult decision that we're going to have to tear it down and build up. So we designed some plans, and the big problem that we had with the plans was we couldn't put it, after having been through what we couldn't have the first living floor as high as we want. And we would really like to have the first living floor effectively start at 12 feet up. We were to be able to fit within, have reasonable ceiling heights and fit within the max, which the max, I know you guys have heard about all this on max. Everybody else does their max on the BFE. Indian Rock still does it on the road. But the max wouldn't allow us to have the first living floor where we would like to be for flood purposes. And so we were asking you, I think it's actually 1'2" or 1'4" that we're actually asking the garage to be raised up. It's like 4 inches that we're asking the third floor to be raised up. But at the end of the day, what that does is that puts it at a 11-foot ceiling for the garage, a 10-foot ceiling for the first living floor, and a 9.5-foot ceiling for the third floor with a shallower roof. So that's what we're requesting. It puts us at 1'10" over the existing max. Just know that our intention is to come here when we have a house to move into, come down here and live here most of the year. Assuming we get built. So, are there any questions?
I'm going to open it up to the commission to ask questions. Does anybody have any questions? I'm gonna make a statement first. John's a good neighbor. He's not a short-term rental owner. He has bought it for his family. Tell us about your family. You have?
I got 3 kids. One works in Houston, one's at school at UNC Chapel Hill, and one is an electrician apprentice in Houston. They all know the Tampa Bay area better than anybody else.
And he's pretty good on wakeboard as well.
John, is your neighbor that's going to be to the right of the property, the sergeant major?
Yep, Susan.
Is she, what's your conversation been about that with her? Anything at all?
She's happy that we're gonna be her neighbors again. Since Helene, we haven't been able to stay in the house. But I haven't talked to her about the variance request specifically, but we've got, she hasn't complained to me. I think she's talked to her.
Because you don't have anybody in front of you. I believe you have the tennis courts over there at the park.
That's right.
Yeah.
We live over the park.
Yeah. So, okay, well, that's good to know. I've had limited conversation with her about, just limited conversation with her. And she's a pretty dead set kind of person about issues. So, I'm sure if there were any issues here tonight that she would be here.
She would have been here if she was against it.
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah. All right. Thanks.
Patty, is this another incidence where the outdated measurement method that we are using creates the difference, or was that not a factor in this?
That was not a factor.
Okay.
I mean, they're above the base flood, they're above the design flood. Your design flood on this would be 10 foot, and they're at an elevation, it's like 6 foot up in the garage is your 10 foot design flood elevation.
I guess what I would say to add to that is, so like Reddington and Indian Shores and all those places, they measure they do 35 feet from the BFE, rather as opposed to from the ground. If you were measuring, if Indian Rocks had its rule from the BFE, we do a whole lot.
And that was really what I was referring to.
Yeah, I mean, other communities, they vary from 25 to 30. I mean, based on the BFE and DFE, and those are things we're going to be discussing.
Right, so it doesn't automatically, if you measure from the BFE, it's not an automatic 35 feet, sometimes it's 25 feet. So if we were to change ours, it could be 25 feet instead of our current 35 feet. Potentially, that's been decided. I do have a question for you, Hetty. What is the floor height to meet the flood code for the first living floor? What's that supposed to be?
That would be at 10 foot, and the crown of the road's at 3 foot.
So for the first drawing, it's at 11, and then the second drawing, it's at 12.2, but both of them meet the flood mitigation by a foot or
That's
two.
Correct.
And then I did have a second question, because I think that we are arguing flood mitigation for the variance exception, if I understand it correctly. In the second picture, am I reading this correctly, that the slab floor of the garage was actually dropped 4 inches?
I didn't get that when I started looking at it again, because of the NAVD elevation. I think they stayed the same.
Looks like it went from 0 to -4 to, I don't know, it looked like it went, did the slab go down?
Not to my
No.
I will state on the next door, and the slab has already been poured. It's already there. I can't imagine them ripping it up.
Well, I just didn't know if it was lowered when the lot was graded.
No.
Yeah, okay. It looks, okay.
Commissioner?
Yeah, I have a question, and I did go to that Board of Adjustment meeting, and I didn't want to ask questions at the time, I felt like it was inappropriate, but I understand the garage, the ceiling height of the garage is probably higher than it needs to meet the base flood elevation and FEMA requirements. Is the 12-foot height, is that required or is that desired?
That's desired.
So the hardship discussion is really a moot point. It's a desirement, not a requirement. Okay, thanks.
I think that's what the 10 feet, that's what I was trying to ask, that's what the 10 feet is, right? The 10
Yeah.
feet is the requirement, anything over that is desired.
Right, so it's technically not a hardship, just for clarification for myself. Thanks.
You want to be able to get your pickup truck in there too.
Commissioner, Mayor Commissioner, do you have any questions or?
No, my question was answered on the measurement issue that we've dealt with before and we need to deal with as a whole.
And again, this was reviewed by your committee, Eddie. It was reviewed by your committee and it passed 4-1.
That's correct.
Okay, so 4 of the experts on our committee did recommend that this variance be accepted.
That's true.
Just curiosity, what was the person who did not recommend it be, what was their argument to not?
I think it was basically the hardship, that, I mean, if we were trying to get it all up out of the floodplain, it would have been one thing, but it was really more of a desire than a hardship.
I think the logic behind the request for the variance has been stated as a flood mitigation request, when it seems like it's more of just a desire than a flood mitigation request.
To be clear, it's to move the ground, or the living floor above, that much higher above the floor.
Right, I understand that, but you're already above it, so yeah, that's my thinking.
Any other discussion? Do we have anybody on the floor that would like to make a comment? No?
I would.
Okay.
Patty Katz, 124 13th Avenue. I just remember me trying to get a variance, and it was so hard in what we had to go through. So I just want to say we're trying to attract families, and residents here, and if it's not hurting anyone, I would recommend passing it.
Okay, thank you, Beth. Anybody else? I'm opening it up to the commission one more time.
Hey, John, come on up here.
Oh, okay, good.
John Thayer, 1819 Bay Boulevard, and I've been to a ton of these variance things. It's my understanding that in order to get a variance, there needs to be a hardship. And we've gotten admitted no hardship, just pure desire here. So is it legal to give a variance? I mean, for this reason? Because we've always in the past had to have a hardship. And we've actually heard that there is no hardship apparently. So that's my only comment.
Anybody else on the floor? Okay, I'm closing the floor. I'm going to open it up to the commission. One more? Okay.
Sorry.
Aye.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Julie Campbell. Could you speak right into the microphone? And I'm sorry, what was your name?
Harris. Alicia.
Thanks.
Yes. So my question would be, if I wasn't your neighbor, needed for my family or my kids, and it was gonna be a short-term rental, would you still approve it? If it wasn't a hardship?
Well, when I ran for mayor, I made a commitment that I would follow what our board did because my predecessor did not. So I'm going to vote what the people on that board voted for. I'll tell you up front. And that was why I asked for, he is my neighbor. That was why I asked our attorney if I needed to recuse myself.
I would just see if you would ask me about my family and stuff like that, if even when I wasn't your neighbor, if you would ask.
He is my neighbor, so it may have been unprofessional.
My concern comes in that we know that we have some issues with where we're measuring from. And in this particular instance, we're talking about 1 foot and 10 inches at the most. I don't want to penalize somebody because our measurement is outdated. So that is my concern, that we would be doing that to someone. I don't know enough about the measurement things, that wasn't my area of expertise, but I'm going to rely on what our Board of Adjustments felt. So this is my 2 cents there.
I'd say that's a valid point, except for the one that Commissioner Watt brought up, that if we did modify our ordinances to reflect a different point of measurement that was more modern, we may or may not have been also looking at a variance here, because we don't know what that ordinance would be. If it was 35 feet still above the base flood elevation or whatever the point we're using, then yes, but we don't have that ordinance in place, and we are continually chipping away at our code of ordinances. Whether we think they're correct or not, it is one thing, but we're continually getting a variance for this specific request. And even the last one, I really don't believe it was a hardship. It was a desirement to have a certain ceiling height. So it's just a point of consideration. If we want the ordinance to be different, then we need to make a change. Otherwise, we need to stop entertaining variances.
And I do think we do have a requirement to look at the exceptions based on our current code, not what it should have code or whatever. Right? We don't know what changes could look like in the future. We're guessing, and I don't think it's appropriate to factor that into this decision because we just don't know.
You don't think what?
I don't think that we should. I understand a base flood measurement starting point may change. What I've seen in other coastal communities is when they change the base flood elevation measurement point, that it's no longer 35 feet, it's now 25 feet because you've raised the base. So I'm saying we can't assume that the 35 feet would remain the same. It might not, and so I think we're required to go by the current code. And it does seem like this is it seems like the stated reason for flood mitigation is not consistent with the design as how that variance is being utilized. I would make a motion to decline, reject the request for variance.
Matt, we're gonna need some correction here because historically when we do this, we get confused on how we need to vote as a commission. So you're making a motion?
I don't know if I have to say a certain way.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the request is to grant a variance, so I guess the vote is whether you vote yes or no to the variance or approve.
So she made a motion to reject the variance, which means to vote in the affirmative is voting for rejecting the variance, correct?
Rejecting the request, yes, but there would need to be a second.
There would need to be a second. Okay, so one more time your motion.
Thank you for that. I'm making a motion to reject the request for the variance.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Lauren?
Commissioner Watt?
So I say yes if I'm voting.
Right, we're
yes.
Yes. Commissioner Bigelow?
No.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
No.
Mayor Vaughn?
No.
So the motion fails.
So the variance.
The variance
is
passes.
approved.
No.
Now we need a motion too. I move to recommend that the city commission approve BOA case number 2026-022709 Bay Boulevard's variance request. Now I need a second.
I second the motion.
Lauren,
Commissioner
let's try
Watt?
it again.
No.
Commissioner Bigelow?
Yes.
Commissioner King?
No.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Vaughn?
Yes.
Thank you. So the variance is approved.
Okay. I want to thank the commission. I love diversity and debate. So let's keep on going.
You know, I need to make a comment too about this. If this property was going to be used for STR, my vote would be no. I want to make that very clear. Thank you.
Just. I have a minute to review something in the code.
Yes.
Matt, did you want to swear on you?
Yeah, just a moment.
Okay.
So, section 13.3 of the code requires the approval of any variance to have 4 or more members of the city commission voting in favor of approval. So if it doesn't have 4 or more, it fails.
Okay, so we only had 3.
Yeah, so it's a super majority.
Okay. And he's already left, so we will need to. Oh. John?
Yes.
Matt, our attorney, just researched the code. Can you read that a little bit closer to the mic so it can be heard?
Yeah, the approval of any amendment to the comprehensive plan of code of ordinances, variance, special exception, planning and development, development site plan or conditional use permit, approving any increase in development density or intensity, maximum building height, or floor plan ratio shall require a favorable vote of 4 or more members of the city commission to be approved.
So therefore, we did not have a supermajority, and the variance did not go through.
Yeah, I took a vote of 3-2, so that's what it is, a
And
supermajority.
I'm waiting for Commissioner Watt for that.
I believe that to be the case. I just want to reread it.
Absolutely.
In full context.
Absolutely, take your time. We have. Lauren,
Yes.
could you, is there a way we can go back in the minutes and research the previous variance
Yeah, the 4 or 5.
to make sure it was a supermajority?
I can.
Okay.
I can't do it from here.
I'm not expecting you to do it tonight.
It was 4 to 1. It was 4 to 1.
Okay. Matt reread the ordinance. It required a supermajority to overturn the variance on height. And it required 4 to 1, and we only made it 2 to 3. So the variance failed.
So was there a question about the previous variance?
I had wanted to go back into the history and see where we were on that variance because
It passed 3 to 2.
it passed 3 to 2 through.
Yes. Jude and Hillary voted against it.
We're going to go back into the minutes and double check the room.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think
Case.
I was the only dissenting voter.
Okay.
That was fine.
Jude, check.
Go ahead.
Jude voted against it.
I did.
And
You voted
You
against
and
it.
You and Jude both.
And Jude
okay.
voted against it.
Okay.
That's what I was saying.
I'm sorry, yeah, I forgot.
But check it. I'm going to check it. Make sure that-
My memory is that as well, that I.
Let's double, I mean, we're talking about something we need to double check. We need to
Yes.
follow the ordinance. We need to make sure that we're following the rules and the law to the T.
We'll wait for our city attorney to.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Just me. Okay, there you go. That's what I'm gonna do.
was 452 Harbor Drive South was 3-2 with King and Bond dissenting votes.
So what does that mean? It means we're gonna get Matt involved. That's what it means.
Yes, exactly.
I'd like to look in the context of the ordinance a little more.
So I would like to look into the context of the ordinance and talk to staff that have more history here than I do. And
Absolutely.
Just reading it and maybe there's context that's not in the codified ordinance that I'd like to look at.
We have a standing vote. We have a standing vote for the Rumont case. Let's give Matt some time to review that. And you can just send us, you can send us your.
Something at a later date.
At a later date. Okay. So we're going to be evaluating that on both cases and get back. Thank you for your patience. Thank everybody for your patience. The next action item is action item number 7, appointments to the Planning and Zoning Board. And I'm going to turn it over to Lauren, our city clerk.
As of this June, the Planning and Zoning Board has 3 regular member vacancies. One vacancy resulted from failing to fill one of the seats at our last meeting at May 12th. The second vacancy was created by the resignation of Mr. Sylvester, who's is actually set to expire May 31st of 2027, but he has a new adventure that he is going to take part in, so he's resigned. We also have a third vacancy due to, and I shouldn't say this is a vacancy, it's Mr. Burt Valerie, his term expired May 31st, 2026. So at this time, we're going to either reappoint him or choose another member. The Planning and Zoning Board consists of 7 regular members and 2 alternate members. And so the 2 alternate members that we chose at the last meeting, this is why we have this, will move accordingly per our code of ordinances. So, I'm sorry?
So would we need to make a motion to roll those into those new appointments?
Yeah, I think it's just be official, that you make that you're aware of it and that we make it official that we're going to move them there. So the first item, I thought just to do a little housekeeping here, is the first item that we have is to appoint alternate member number 1, Mr. Michael Romanesh, to a regular member to fill that one seat that we failed to fill at the last meeting. So I'll ask you to.
I make a motion that we move our first alternate to a regular seat, Dr. Romanesh. Second.
Are we going to do a roll call?
I'm just going to keep it, since we're going to do roll calls now, if that's all right.
Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
That wasn't a roll call.
Oh, well then by all means, do the roll call.
So,
I feel like I'm a little rushed.
Commissioner Watt? Yes. Commissioner Bigelow?
Yes.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor
Yes.
Vaughn? Thank you. All right, so just to keep things in order, I'd like to just initiate that once again, Mr. Sylvester has resigned, and I just thought it would be proper if we just declared his, accepted his resignation and declared his seat vacant. So if we can go ahead and.
Do I have a motion to accept Mr. Sylvester's seat vacant and accept his resignation and declare his seat vacant?
I make a motion that we declare Mr. Sylvester's seat vacant at this time, and that we will need to make a recommendation to fill such seat.
Second. All right, Commissioner Watt? Yes. Commissioner Bigelow?
Agree.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Vaughn?
Yes.
All right. So now we have an alternate member, number 2, Mr. Tim Dunphy. And I'd like to suggest that we move him into Mr. Sylvester's seat, which would expire on May 31st, 2027.
I make a motion that we move Mr. Tim Dunphy into Mr. Sylvester's seat on the regular commission.
I second the motion.
Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Bigelow?
Yes.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Vaughn?
Yes.
So the next
Welcome,
housekeeping,
Joe.
next bit of housekeeping that we need to do is, so Mr. Valerie, his seat is up as of May 31st, 2026, and I sent you all his application. He does seek to be reappointed.
We, as a commission right now, we have an option to not reappoint him or to reappoint him. So I'm going to open it up to the floor if anybody wants to talk. And I'm going to open it up to the commission if anybody would like to make a statement. Do we want to reappoint Mr. Valerie, or do we want to fill it with another individual?
I would like to recommend Tom Unand for that position.
So the motion is first motion from Commissioner Watt is to not reappoint for Valerie and to appoint Tom Booner.
So I would need a second not to reappoint Mr. Valerie.
Second.
Do you, Commissioner King, are you accepting also the recommendation of Tom?
Well,
Booner?
I assume that we would do these in sequence and not.
So, and I'm treating it like we're doing it in sequence. We're not accepting this position first.
Very good, that's fine.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's what you,
Yes.
okay.
Yep, okay, so go with that. First, Barkov, and second. So, Commissioner Watt, to not approve the reappointment?
Correct.
Yes.
And do I have a
Commissioner-
second?
Can't.
Okay.
So Commissioner Watt? Yes. Okay. Commissioner Bigelow?
No.
Commissioner King?
Okay, we're,
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it would be a yes.
Oh, yes, sorry.
No.
yes.
Okay. So we have a 3-2 to not reappoint. So the next step would be to select.
I make a motion that we nominate Chris Everett to serve on the board.
Just to clarify, this is Board of Adjustments.
This is planning.
Planning and
and
zoning.
zoning.
Oh, okay, fine. Sorry. I'm too far down at the agenda. I would second that.
Can we call for a vote?
Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Bigelow?
No.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Vaughn?
Yes.
All right, we have Chris Everett as the first, as the regular member to fill the vacancy.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Tom Unand as the first alternate to planning and zoning.
Do I have a second to nominate Tom Grumman as an alternate member number 1?
I second.
Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Bigelow?
Yes.
Commissioner King?
No.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
No.
Mayor Vaughn?
Yes.
We have a 3-2 to appoint alternate member 1, Mr. Tom Goonan. We move on to alternate number 2 for the Planning and Zoning Board.
Make a motion to appoint Max Rumont to the planning and zoning as alternate number 2.
I second the motion.
Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Bigelow?
Yes.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Vaughn.
Yes.
All right. So Matt Wilmot will be alternate member number 2 of the Planning and Zoning Board.
We go to BOA now.
Yeah, I'm going to jump right in if that's okay with the mayor.
Please do,
Thank
please
you.
do.
So at the May 12, 2026 City Commission meeting, the City Commission appointed Janet Hunt to serve as alternate member number 2 on the Board of Adjustments and Appeals for a 3-year term. On May 19, 2026, Ms. Hunt notified the city via email that she was declining the appointment. So we just need to fill the alternate member number 2 position of the Board of Adjustments.
I make a motion to appoint Laura West as alternate number 2 for BOA.
I second the motion.
Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Bigelow?
Yes.
Commissioner King? No. Vice Mayor Wilson?
No.
Mayor Vaughn?
I'm looking for application right now.
Laura West.
I do not.
I can have it work alphabetically. Yeah.
Yes.
And we have 3-2. Alternate member number 2 for the Board of Adjustments and Appeals will be Laura West. I will notify the applicants.
Okay. So I'm going to move on to agenda item number 7.3, appoint a member of the City Commission as the city's voting delegate for the Florida League of Cities. I do have a question. Isn't this traditionally our mayor-elect or mayor commissioner?
It's
I mean,
not-
is this normally?
It doesn't have to be a vice mayor or anybody particular or mayor. However, it just,
But it has
Normally-
been traditionally.
it traditionally has been up for a vote. You use for somebody, but the last couple times, Vice Mayor Wilson has been the only one that's been.
May I ask a member of the board to nominate Commissioner Janet Wilson for voting point?
I nominate Janet Wilson for voting delegate.
I second the vote.
Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Bigelow?
Yes.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson.
I'll do it. You want it?
Mayor Vaughn?
I got experience.
Mayor Vaughn?
Yes.
Okay. Vice Mayor Wilson, thank you.
Thank you.
At this particular point in time, I'm happy to announce we have neighbor feedback for 1 minute to the podium. Anybody who has sat through this meeting, you're free to talk for 1 additional minute.
Hi, Patty Katz, 124 13th Avenue. I just wanted to say there's been a lot of noise lately with, on social media with Sardo's Pizza. That's kind of taking the same steps that we are with pushback on short-term rentals. And it had me thinking, I took down my sign for the short-term rentals, the homes, not hotels, but I'm thinking about putting it back up, and I'll tell you why. Because during the election period, we were just ruthlessly bullied by certain short-term rental owners. I mean, to the point, I mean, of the insults right and left. And this is our community. And now they still follow who is their leader, and I call him Mr. Sue because his answer to everything is sue them. So, I just recommend everybody put their signs, if they for any reason take them down. And I would love for short-term rental owners to kind of come and be with us and work with us on future endeavors. And then I would take my sign down.
Thank you.
Good evening, Tim Dunphy, 2700 Gulf Boulevard. I just wanted to say thank you for your confidence and vote in my favor, and I look forward to working with you guys in the future.
Thank you, Tim.
For volunteering.
Anybody else? At this particular point in time, I'm going to close the floor to neighbor feedback, and I'm going to open the floor to the commission for future agenda items. I believe you have something as well.
Thank you, Mayor. So upon arriving to Indian Rock Beach, I had the pleasure, when I met with neighbors, talked to them about certain things of concern. One item that did pop up from time to time was our recycling program and the future of recycling in this community. And a number of you have also expressed the desire to have a conversation about recycling in Indian Rocks Beach and what that looks like moving forward. Our current contract for recycling services ends at the end of this year, December 31st, 2026. Now is the time to convene and talk about recycling. And I know that, in the past, and certainly everybody certainly I think has an opinion on recycling. It's been an emotional conversation, and it is a conversation that I think that really needs to kind of stand on its own when we come together and we meet as a body. Therefore, I'm asking to have a special meeting to kick off that conversation about recycling. With our contract ending, I think it's an opportunity to sit down or convene as a body to talk about what options may look like in this community moving forward when it comes to recycling. And I'd like to dedicate a special meeting for that, rather than having it as a work session item right now, or just any type of discussion item that would fit in with the normal agenda. I'm looking at the week of the second to last week of this month, and I know that this is only a couple weeks away, but I really want to take the opportunity to have a dedicated meeting to talk about recycling, and then allow time over the next couple months really to kind of flesh that out and really then take a vote, a policy decision on it. So I'd be looking at the week of June 22nd. I know traditionally we meet on Tuesdays. The Hurricane Task Force will be meeting on the 24th. But I'm certainly open, and we can have a meeting on the 25th. Monday, generally like not to have meetings on Monday, coming up the weekend. So the 23rd or the 25th, I would be looking at having that. So
I am open on the 23rd, on the 25th, I'm out of town.
Okay.
So how does the rest of the commission look on the 23rd?
I'm fine, that's your vote.
You do. John?
Both days are open for me.
Just a quick question, we have a special magistrate meeting on the 23rd as well. Do you think those two will interrupt each other?
There's only 9 cases.
There's 9 cases, yeah. We'll be fine. I think we can do it.
Then I'm fine with that.
Okay. And yeah, no, I mean it'll be kind of a wide-ranging conversation, but we'll be able to present what the cost of the contract is right now, and some ideas that we've kicked around as staff, and I think that staff has kicked around in the past too, but with the contract ending at the end of the year, I think it's appropriate to have a conversation now.
Do you think we'll have somebody from the recycling company come and?
Yeah, we talked about that today. Having somebody from there. Actually, we've even kicked around the idea of having somebody from Pinellas County come and talk to us too. So, and I know that there's a number of neighbors engaged heavily in this. I know there's a number of you that are engaged heavily in this and really want to have that conversation, so.
You know who we should get to have is the driver. Those guys know everything.
Yeah, we see
I
everything.
found that to be the case, yes. I had the pleasure of meeting Tim the mailman, and he told me a lot of things, so that's good. So you're right, people that drive around and walk around, I think that it does give a perspective, but like I said, and I don't, mean to belabor this, but I understand that this is, something that a lot of people have different feelings about and different takes on, but I think we can come together and kind of talk logically about what this looks like in the future and kind of sociologically what this community is right now and what recycling, if recycling practices are in place, then we can, I think, start moving forward,
So I want to say thank you because it preempted me from having to be the squeaky wheel for the third or fourth meeting.
I understand. And I don't, it's there, and there's a lot going on, right? And we're busy. And we've got meetings, two meetings almost every week right now. So, but it's good work. And so under future agenda items, I also want to take this opportunity. I was going to say it under noted items. It has been noted several times through our strategic planning session, and even we had a special, or we had a discussion item on it, the necessity to update our land development regulation code. And we're working on proposals, receiving proposals on that, so we can move forward and bringing somebody in and doing that, and engaging the planning and zoning board on that. So that goes without saying that needs to definitely be worked on. We're in the process of getting somebody on board to help us navigate that. Thank you.
Do we have any?
Just a follow-up for the recycling. I've been on a tour. I know Dean has been, others have been, and it's really eye-opening. It doesn't smell good, and we've got real old clothes, but I just wonder if there's an opportunity to have a tour for the commission, for any of the staff that wants to go to the Pinellas County Solid Waste and see not only just the recycling, but also how they manage the rest. Thanks.
Yeah, we'll look at setting that up. Thank you.
Oh, I love field trips.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
That's right. The education that becomes out.
Anybody else? Okay. Commissioner Wilson loves field trips. Okay, so with that, do you have anything to say?
So, Ryan, I just have a quick question. Can you just give us a quick update on the citizen server? Are we using it now? Has it been implemented? Or?
No, we're still working through implementation, and Robin has been helping with that, spearheading that. I do plan, and we talked a little bit today with staff, of trying to get a work session for you guys, just to kind of go over it, show you what it looks like. And that would be at the July meeting. I think that would be, we can do that, but Robin can, update if you're ready.
The vendors are meeting every week with their staff people to go over. They're currently developing everything, inserting all of the rates that we charge, all the modules that we're going to use. So inserting all the data that the staff will be using and the public to, again, whether they pay business tax or vacation rental, et cetera. There'll be a public portal where the public can go in and see as well. But so the vendor is developing all of that. It'll take them a few weeks to finish. So, but definitely by July, I think we can show you and navigate through tentatively how it would work.
Thanks, that's great.
Thank you. Anybody else on the commission? Oh, it's my turn now. As Ryan stated, we've done a lot with parking. We're learning every day. I'm extremely excited. As Ryan mentioned, the businesses, we're seeing better turnover. We have a business owner out on the beach that said it was his best holiday yet, and that the guests we're getting seem to be a higher clientele. They seem to be very appreciative. They are much kinder and moving forward. So I think that everything's moving forward. We're always trying to look out after our residents. We initially started a parking program for unlicensed golf carts. We have put that on hold because we found non-residents taking advantage of it. And we have decided we're gonna have to have a workshop on that. I want to do that in the future, separate from the parking. And it may even move into the fact that we have short-term rentals that are de facto illegal businesses renting transportation when they shouldn't be, and they're not licensed. And we don't know if they're carrying insurance on their vehicles that are driving on our roads. So I want to start a workshop on that to see if we can. Let's get through the budgeting first, and let's start kind of planning on that as well. Anybody else? I'm waiting for a motion.
I will make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.